Hey, hi everyone. My name is Kathy Lefevre. I'm moderating this session. This session is Introduction to Take Charge, today's personal finance resources for high school teachers. If you're a middle school teacher, stick around also because Lisa, who is our presenter, told me that they also have middle school resources. So I'm going to turn this over to Lisa and she can take over. Thank you, Lisa, though, for presenting today. Appreciate it.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Bender, and I'm coming to you with some cool resources from Take Charge Today, Financial Education for a Better Future. That's what we all want, right? I am coming to you from Maryland on the East Coast. I am one of the education specialists for Take Charge Today. I was a Maryland public school teacher for 30 years, and I am using what I love to use in my classroom. Take Charge Today was a game changer for my classroom. And so today we're going to just introduce you as fast as I can to our TCT program and mission. And then the most important part, I want you to see one of our lessons and discover what are some of the things in there that can really help make you an excellent teacher with your students in the classroom to engage them in seeing what we have for personal finance. So our mission, you can read the screen, but basically we want to provide you with a toolkit, a ready to teach, free, complete curriculum that you can dip in and take out favorite lessons, or you can use the entire curriculum to bring financial literacy to life in your classroom. We are housed at the University of Arizona. We've been there since 2007. And we reach and extend to teachers in all 50 states. We have more than 45,000 teachers that use our lessons. Here are some of our staff, our program manager, Tiffany Karamigian, myself, and Robin Palmer. Robin is going to be giving an exciting workshop right after me about how to teach taxes and how to really engage students with the teaching of taxes since it's April 15th and tax day. With our particular curriculum are 4 core principles that we have worked with university professors and people to help us really reach our students. The guiding principles of you are responsible for yourself. You are better off in a community than by yourself. Investing helps you cope with risk and uncertainty. And we're not just talking about investing with money into stock market, bonds, mutual funds. We're talking also about investing in yourself, paying yourself first, all of those things. And then your present self impacts your future self. What you do today can definitely have an impact on what you're doing in the future. We are a program that's been created by educators for educators. Our activities and our lessons are tested in the classroom with teachers on the front lines. We are continually updating to keep pace with the changes in educational practices. Robin and myself are educational specialists. We both come from years-long experience in the classroom. And we love going out and doing professional development in person. But if we can't do it in person, we will take the virtual path as well. That also works. So we're excited to be with you. So we provide networks, opportunities. We have our presence on social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter. We offer ready-to-teach curriculum We offer ways that when we go to what we're doing today, I want to model for you one of Take Charge Today's lessons as best I can in a virtual environment and let you know what's involved. With our curriculum, again, turnkey, you get each lesson will have a list of supplies that you might need to conduct some of the activities in a lesson. Step-by-step instructions written again by teachers in our awareness of pedagogy practices and talking the same language, if you will. Our assessments, variety of options, we will talk about those a little bit today in this session. We have worksheets, answer keys, PowerPoint presentations. Our themed units of study, there's 8 of them. You can see them running across here. We have many different lessons under each of these headings. I think Earning has maybe 17 different lessons under that particular unit of study. And you see it broadly crosses over to all the way from Take Charge of your financial well-being, because we and the professors we've worked with know how important it is for students and young people to understand money in their life and understand how to balance or think about balancing your life so that you're not completely just focused on one aspect of your life, but it's a blend of different activities and thoughts. You could, as I said, dip in. Maybe you need a interesting lesson on investing and you want to try Take Charge Today. You could just simply dip in, pull out one of our investing lessons, use it in your classroom, and if you like it, you could use it again. Or if you're fortunate enough to teach an entire course of personal finance, we have you covered all the way through writing a will, distribution of wealth, planned giving, giving to others, and so forth. We also have a very unique set of lessons called Receiving, and we wrote this with the Maryland State Board of Education and the Maryland Department of Rehabilitation. This is a set of lessons about receiving from family, friends, and nonprofits when someone is in dire straits, when someone is in need, when a weather tragedy happens. We want students to be able to understand how you can be part of a community and give back. And sometimes when you're part of that community, others give back to you. Another lesson in there is a simulation called the Perez Family Case Study, a wonderful case study about budgeting. So that's a kind of a unique unit of study that perhaps some other vendors don't necessarily have. With our Take Charge Today lessons, we have 5 elements for every lesson. A hook, how you engage them. Vocabulary, making that intentional and purposeful so that they start to embrace some of the new words and terms that they'll be using in their adult lives. Content facilitation, how do you deliver the meat and potatoes, if you will, of what you want to teach about a particular topic. Conclusion and review activities, and then assessments. We also offer from our free curriculum, we have some teacher video demonstrations that you can watch as teachers who have worked for us in the past carry out a particular activity, perhaps known as our active learning tools. We have external resources we've scoured to help you utilize these with students as you teach them a particular topic. We're posting weekly, several times a week, to our social media sites. And we're Google Classroom compatible, Canvas compatible, Moodle compatible, all the different learning management systems we have teachers using with our curriculum. Lots of activity-based, engaging tasks. That's because we're written by teachers for teachers. We know that in the classroom, you can't just hand out worksheets all the time to students. You can't just lecture to them day after day. We offer ideas and lessons about how to incorporate service learning as part of financial literacy and giving back to a greater and larger community. We have created some online games ourselves. We'll go through one of those a little bit later today. We work with our industry partners, such as Intuit. We worked with Intuit Education to set up some simulations using their popular Mint app, and our active learning tools like foldables, suggestions, books, and our children's literature ideas currently being updated, and of course, how to integrate technology into the classroom. So what I want to do is take you through one Take Charge Today lesson. And we have over 100 lessons between middle school and high school that are free and ready for you to open up and teach to your students. I could have chosen insurance or saving and investing, money decisions, financial decisions. But I thought today, why not take one of our lessons that has kind of like 3 different parts to it. And we call it major expenditures. How to teach things about housing, about transportation, and food. 3 important things if you are an adult and managing a household. So let's take a look. With every lesson from Take Charge Today, the first thing you're going to find is a cover page. And you see that right there on the right side of the screen. Each lesson will tell you through the cover page, what is it that's important about this lesson that your students should be aware of? Why should you even spend the time teaching it? Then the second part of this one-pager cover page, suggested teaching tools. We just pick out a few of the ideas that we have from pedagogy purposes from the lesson. Then we have a section called What Can Students Do? And examine a sample rental agreement, for instance. We write down a few things students can do in this particular lesson. And then we've left a space for teacher notes. Some of our teachers like to print off the cover page to a lesson, and they handwrite notes as they teach through it. What worked for them, what didn't work for them, what might change up next time. There's also a way you could download this and have a fillable PDF, and you could type in there your notes so that you have it digitally. So as I walk you through this lesson, just a reminder, the hook, vocabulary, content facilitation, conclusion activities or review, leads up to assessment. Those are 5 elements and procedures and steps for a Take Charge Today lesson. So how do you get them ready to learn and activate their knowledge, their prior knowledge, their background knowledge? We always try to find something unique, whether it's maybe a video clip, maybe it's a game, maybe it's a short reading, maybe it's listening to music. There's all kinds of ways that you can hook your students' ideas and pique their interest as you start to introduce a lesson. Now, in this particular lesson for major expenditures, I thought I would just share with you one of the options to pique their interest. And this is what we call Fly Swatter Facts. It's an active learning tool that we have, and you could use this for almost any lesson, but we definitely have this and have created it for the hook part or anticipatory set of the major expenditures lesson. So what you would do is take your class and you would divide them in half into teams. The materials you would need would be 2 fly swatters, and we suggest having them different colors. You'll find out why in a minute. The lesson itself, you could print off the 1 page of the lesson that has all, or 2 pages, that have all of the facts about housing, about transportation, about food and different things, and put them on a wall in your classroom or out in the hallway, on a chalkboard if you have that, or a whiteboard, somewhere in the classroom, and you just tape those to a wall. You have a little, some kind of starting line. We often suggest painter's tape for creating a simple starting line. And you have the students line up in their team in a straight line. And you, the teacher, will read off the facts about transportation, housing, or food from the lesson. And they will compete against each other. Each person at the front of the line is given a fly swatter. The teacher reads the fact, and the student who's holding the fly swatter goes up and swats at the fact they think answers the statement or the question that the teacher just read. Whoever gets there first, whoever gets the answer correct, they get a point for their team. The people who are just competing return to the line. They hand off the fly swatter to the next person in line, and they go to the end of the line. And then you repeat the activity, and there you have Fly Swatter Facts active learning tool. This is a get up and move around, have fun, do a little bit of competing, and get to know some of the facts as they begin to think about this lesson. Here's an example of the questions and answers that's included in the lesson. See here, it says questions. Read these aloud to the participants. The teacher would have this in their hand. These are the facts that they would cut out from our lesson and place on a board or a wall. Here they are. We have them in different colors. You just, I just, did a screen grab and posted them on here. But you would cut out the word false and put it one place on the wall. And you would cut out the number 20%, put that on the wall. And you can see over here, here's the word for false. True or false? Automobile insurance is an optional cost to operate a vehicle. Someone with the fly swatter would run up. If they hit the word false, they earn a point for their team. So that is Fly Swatter Facts, what the teacher sees and how they can answer and award points, and the facts that you would post on the board. All of that is included in the lesson itself. For teaching vocabulary, we have many different ways and suggestions for introducing the terms and the definitions for a particular lesson. Some lessons might have 4 or 5, others might have 10 or 12. And this one, because it covers such broad territory, there are 19 different vocabulary terms. So what you would do with our mini dictionary activity, and the instructions are written in the lesson for the teacher to carry out with students, divide your students up into 3 or 4 and let them sit together at a table or on the floor, however you find works best for your class. Have cardstock paper, because this will make the designs that you see over here much easier for the students to work. You need some colored markers or crayons or just a pen. And you need one vocabulary list with the terms and the definitions directly from the lesson that you would pass out to each group. Then each group creates their mini dictionary with this design, and they play. Each group selects 8 different choices of terms they want to play with from the potential 19 vocabulary terms. And I would encourage them to select terms that are unfamiliar to the whole group. Then they can spend 15 minutes. You're using that foldable design, and they're going back and forth, and they're asking questions to each other about the vocabulary from this lesson. All right, element 3 of our 5 elements of a Take Charge Today lesson is facilitating content. What are the most important and key essential ideas that you want your students to know about the lesson you're teaching? So this can be delivered to them through a PowerPoint, which we have created and is available when you download a lesson from Take Charge Today. This you're seeing on the left-hand side is the actual title slide from the PowerPoint: housing, transportation, and food. So you could, as a teacher, go ahead and teach the lesson to whole group and walk them through at your pace, not theirs, to make sure that you can point out certain things to a lesson, have them get comfortable with different aspects of the lesson and the content that you're teaching. You could also break the students up into small groups, and they could work together to complete a note-taking guide. That's your NTG note-taking guide that comes along with every PowerPoint. Or you could assign these to do individually at their own pace through a learning management system where you push out the note-taking guide that students could fill in by typing on their devices, and they would have you would push out the PowerPoint to them. Now, we also have with every lesson an information sheet, and the information sheet mirrors the information in a PowerPoint. It's more heavily text, it's more dense text. So if you have struggling readers, you might not want to rely on the information sheet and let those students do the PowerPoint, which has shorter phrases and sentences on them. Major expenditures, transportation, and food. Here is an example over here on the right of page 1 of our information sheet. So you can see the dense text that is included. But if you don't want to PowerPoint your kids to death, this is a great option. Or let's say a student is away on vacation or out of the classroom sick, you could hand them or share with them a print or digital copy of the information sheet, and they're going to learn the same as what is given in the PowerPoint. Element 4 of a Take Charge Today lesson is a conclusion option. How do you review with students so that they are having a chance to review essential questions, review important vocabulary, and it not being a really dull day in your class? So one of the things that you could do is play a game of musical chairs. Now, this musical chairs active learning tool is a little bit different than your traditional musical chairs. You do need music, and we make that very simple for you because Take Charge Today has a account on Spotify, and we have listed more than 100 different songs, and we've categorized them according to our 8 different units of study. So for saving and investing, you might, let's see, you might see the song Saving for a Rainy Day, Save It for a Rainy Day. And you could play that. So if you're doing this with a saving and investing lesson, you could go straight to Spotify, look for our playlist for Take Charge Today's account, and the music's all right there. Now, the way this works is within the active learning tool on the Take Charge Today website, we have a worksheet print version that you would run off for each student. It has some questions, it has some blank areas for definitions to be written down and so forth. Each student has a worksheet. You have and a pen or a pencil. The students lay their worksheets on their desk in front of them. You, the instructor who's manning the music, have everyone stand up. As you start the music, everyone has to walk around, and undoubtedly, I guarantee you, they'll start to dance a little too, and it's a lot of fun. They're moving around the classroom and with their pen or pencil in hand. And as soon as you stop the music, the students have to sit down at the nearest desk or chair, and on the worksheet, they can choose any question that hasn't been answered. Go ahead, sit down, write down their answer to the question on the worksheet. When they've answered their question, they stand up holding their pencil. And when you, the teacher, sees that everyone else is standing up, we're ready to go. You start a new song or start the song that you were playing, and the music begins again. They walk around, and when it stops, they sit down and they answer another question in the worksheet in front of them. When you've done enough so that all of the questions on the worksheet are finished, the students return to their own worksheet, their own desk. You can go over the answers with them to see, and if students want to correct any answers, they can do that. We estimate this would probably take 20 minutes or so in your class, but what a wonderful way to engage the students with a review of what they just learned with music and movement and helping each other out and dancing around the classroom. It's a wonderful way to bring joy into your class while you're teaching and reinforcing financial education. If you want to see this in action, we have on our website a teacher demo, and I think it's actually my class, if I'm not mistaken. I've done it a few years ago, but a teacher demo of musical chairs under our tab of professional development on our website. Another conclusion option: with every lesson, we offer what's called a reinforcement worksheet. You could use this as a quiz for your students. You could use this as homework for your students. You could use this as a test for your students and do this as the assessment if you want. It's a worksheet that summarizes content from the lesson and asks questions in the form of matching, fill in the blank, true, false, short answer, short response, etc. And we provide the teacher an answer key to be able to grade these. Another option for, in this case, the major expenditures lesson, we have created a game we call True or False. And you could play this as a whole class. You could divide your class up into separate groups and they could compete against each other. You could share the link and students could challenge themselves with this game on their own devices. There's lots of different ways that you could play. Let me see if we can get there so you can see a little taste of this game. Ah, shoot. I thought it would go to it, but must not be linked. Darn. All right. Well, we might be able to show it to you if we have time at the end, which we definitely might. Assessment with this game, with this lesson, major expenditures. We have all kinds of different things you could do. Yes, you could give a multiple choice paper pencil test or on devices. There's always that option with our test bank. But every lesson doesn't always need a multiple choice test. Why not challenge them with some real world type of activities? So you could have students do finding an apartment. You could have them work through this little simulation individually, or you could do it through group. It's a segment of our active learning tools, and finding an apartment challenges students to set up and review a rental contract agreement, think about splitting the rent and using a real world app to split the rent, and doing some active search for actual apartments for rent in an area where they want to live. So finding an apartment is a great way to bring authentic learning into your class. There's that rental agreement contract. We have a nice worksheet where it's very similar to what you would find in the real world by going, and it asks students to do a critical reading assessment, really, of how to look at what a checkoff list would be for an apartment as if they were walking through it with a little scenario about what the apartment has. Another really fun assessment could be purchasing an automobile. We have 6 different assigned scenarios. We're not going to let the students themselves go ahead and pick out a car, because they're all going to want a Maserati or some fancy car, a Tesla or something that's really expensive. And that's not always real life. So we've written 6 different scenarios that you could assign randomly to your students. And with purchasing an automobile, they do some really cool things about what's needed in the actual auto according to the assigned scenario they get, the features, how they have to come up with we have a decision-making matrix as part of this lesson, perfect for financial decision-making and applied learning. And then we also have a reflection tool. Another great way to assess learning, why not have the students find out some different news headlines? I mean, right now, there's all kinds of headlines about electric cars, and they could read and mark the text, and they could debrief the information or create an infographic from what they're reading in the article and share it with the class. And we also have one for eating on a budget, where we build a food budget for a college student, and the students have to decide how much they're going to spend and what they're going to spend for our college student Jolene as she makes it through a week for her living off campus and having to stock her refrigerator. So here's that rental agreement activity we talked about. This is an excellent way to bring reading literacy skills into working with your students. We have a pre-made contract and a checkoff list, and they have to do some critical reading and some comparisons and searching for information. Here's that purchasing an automobile. I always enjoyed doing this with my students in class. It's fun, it's engaging. You're using real world tools like Edmunds' true cost of depreciation and a true cost of ownership, I should say, and different things. And this is the first page of this simulation. And the students, it says, according to your scenario that you were given, draw a picture of the person or the family unit who's going to be purchasing this automobile, and then describe the automobile and how it will be used. Well, some of our scenarios have a young couple who doesn't have any kids. What kind of auto would they have? Someone who is just starting a small business, and what kind of automobile would that be for them? Would it be a truck? Would it be an SUV? It depends on the kind of business that the scenario talks about. Another one is someone who wants to be climate conscious, and they want to buy a hybrid vehicle or a electric vehicle. So these are real world scenarios that make this purchasing an automobile assessment and simulation very much applicable to what's going on in the outside life. You could do this digitally by pushing it out through your learning management system, or you could print this off, and the students, I think it's about 4 pages. The students could do it by pencil and paper, putting in their information that they research online. Finally, there is Jolene. She's our college student, and she's got $45 each week that she is going to be spending for food because she lives off campus. And the way we have this set up, and this is part of the PowerPoint, this is actually Jolene that you would share with your students, this slide. And you would have these items, and these have been updated with today's prices because inflation has hit all of our pocketbooks pretty hard. So we just recently here in 2023 went ahead and updated these different items, and you could take this page and print this off or share it digitally with your students, and they could work in groups or pairs, shoulder partners, and they would decide, you know, this is what Jolene has left in her refrigerator for this week, but you're going to plan more things for her to buy. If she needs some milk, doesn't look like she has any milk here, so you might want to add milk, and there's more of these shopping add food cards available in the lesson. There's 3 or 4 pages of them. But you would want to add maybe a box of Cheerios, so that would be $3.48 out of the $45 that Jolene would be spending for her budget for this week's food as she lives off campus. So we've shared with you the 5 elements of a Take Charge Today lesson, and we used the lesson major expenditures, housing, transportation, and food. And we shared with you some of the ideas that you would utilize for engaging students with the study of this topic of financial education. Let's see here, can we get to, yes. This is what our actual website looks like, and I know we only have a few minutes left, but I will share this with you. If you are new to Take Charge today, you would come here and create an account. Please know that the student does not create an account on Take Charge Today's website. Only you, the teacher or facilitator, creates an account. And then you can download any and all of the activities and lessons. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to log in. And here is the front page of our lesson. In fact, it says here, Nevada. This is where we are today, giving 2 sessions, one on Introduction to Take Charge Today, and Robin coming up next is going to show you an amazing way to teach taxes. If you wanted to look for a lesson plan and you weren't sure what the name is, you could come down here to this tab in green and search free lesson plans. If you've used Take Charge Today and you know that a favorite lesson of yours is, let's say, Choose to Save, you could come up here and type in, for instance, here's Entrepreneurship, one of our newest editions of the lessons. Or I loved teaching Fundamentals of Investing. I've looked that up before. But let's go ahead and take the broader approach, and we're going to look at our free lessons. You can see here, browsing curriculum, multiple units. These are our active learning tools. These are, in alphabetical order, are 8 different, I'm sorry, not alphabetical order, but there are 8 different units of study with lessons underneath each one. So we just went through major expenditures. You can see here our grade level. Some are for high school. Some are more geared for middle school. That's a 7th through 9th. But if your middle school goes through 6 through 8 or 5 through 7, you could use those different things. But here is major expenditures. I want to go directly to that lesson. Here's a summary. If you need to write down for an administrator some objectives for that lesson, here you go. They're already written out for you. Here's our lesson plan. Remember, we said every lesson plan starts with an attractive, I would say, visual type of cover page. And then we take you into how the recommended grade level, how long it might take for you to do that. Here's those objectives. Here's a list of things you might want to add to your supplies: whiteboard markers, music and chairs. We talked about that. Here are resources, external resources outside of Take Charge Today, like here's access to a mortgage calculator if you wanted students to calculate from our lessons some mortgage payments. Here's our vocabulary activity and gives you instructions. Here's the fly swatter facts, gives you instructions. The PowerPoint. With our PowerPoint, we give you talking points about each slide so that you feel comfortable pointing out certain things or questions to pose to the students. So reading through this the first time you teach this lesson would be very helpful. And then you start to get a comfort level and you can, as we say, make it your own. And as we go through, you will find, here's our vocabulary list that's included in this lesson, and we have vocabulary lists in each lesson. Major expenditures, here's our note-taking guide to go along with the PowerPoint and information sheet. You can see it's nicely designed with graphic organizers. Here is our sample rental agreement that we talked about. And here's the rental checklist. So the students themselves have to critically analyze a rental agreement and then put in a checkoff list, what is shown and what isn't shown. Here's a housing reinforcement worksheet you could use as a quiz or a test. Transportation worksheet, quiz or a test, food. And then at the end of the written lesson, you will find here's some things for eating on a budget for Jolene and what you're going to be deciding you want to buy for her, filling out her menu. And here are what I showed you, the cost of some different foods. So they're not eating pizza every night. We have a nice mix of what college students might want to have. And here's our information sheet that mirrors the information that's in the PowerPoint. If you wanted to hand that out instead of PowerPointing them to death with every lesson. Okay, so I know we have 2 minutes left. If there's any questions, thank you. I'm glad that someone's saying this looks interesting and engaging. I think that was the game changer for my students. This was the way to really get them engaged with the lesson. Oh, thank you, Robin, for putting that on. Thank you, thank you. Here's that true, false. Here it is. And let's see, we want to try this out. This is the true, false game that we made. And let's see, I'll just go here. True or false, housing, transportation, and food comprises 40%. Oh, is that right? No, it's not true. And it gives that reason. Click here to go back. Let's choose number 8. The current value of an automobile is considered a monetary asset. Is that wrong? Yes, it is. It's a tangible asset. So you can see this pre-made game that you can play with students or they can play on their own is already made from you, and it's particular to this lesson from Take Charge Today. All right, thank you so much for joining us. I really had a great time presenting to you today. I hope you'll consider going to Robin's page or Robin's session and seeing all the great things that she's going to present to you about teaching taxes. Hi, Robin. And I think you'll be surprised about how